Hi, I'm John Kuzma from the End Zone blog Across the Middle podcast. Tonight, I have my good friend and old teammate Chuck Cobb, 11 years of semi-pro, a lot of football knowledge, and I'm really excited to have him on the show again because he breaks it down to a science. Chuck, how you doing tonight?
Good, John. How you doing?
It's going good so far. How you doing? But anyway, first up on the ticker tonight, we have Jimmy Garoppolo signs a 5-year, $137.5 million contract to be the San Francisco 49ers quarterback for at least the next 5 years. John Lynch and Jed York, they go to the negotiation table, they get a deal done, and now Jimmy Garoppolo is the highest paid player in the league. He's going to make $500,000 more than Detroit's Matthew Stafford. Uh, he's making $27.5 million a year. So Stafford's making $27 million a year. So Chuck, how do you feel about Garoppolo being the highest paid player in the league? Are you buying? Or are you selling Garoppolo being the highest paid player in the league?
I'm definitely not buying, John.
You're not buying. Why? Why not, man?
I just think it was a waste of money. Guy wins you a couple games, now you're throwing him 27 plus. Not having it.
27 plus. How many players could you sign for 27 plus million? Like 5 players you could
Probably
get?
signed about five solid players.
Right, man. 27.5. So the Niners only won one game until they traded for Jimmy Garoppolo last October. They win five straight with Garoppolo. Garoppolo has never lost as a starter, and 100. How much was it? 137.5 million. So highest paid player in the league. It's a gamble a little bit, but at the same time, they had to pay this guy because you can't let him hit the open market, especially with that success he's had. If you're in John Lynch's shoes, Chuck, how do you let him walk away? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I get it.
Right? But
I get it, but it's just like you already got a lot of rebuilding to do, and
right,
I guess the key is the quarterback in that situation.
right.
But I don't know, man. I just don't. I can't
But
see myself spending that kind of money.
didn't you like though that they had a nucleus? They had it. It was trending upward. That team has struggled a lot. This is the first time we got a glimpse of seeing them ascending, trending upward. I just don't think you can break that up. He had a lot of money, but they had to make sure he doesn't hit that open market. Like, so what are you thinking? Still going against it? Who would you go? Kirk Cousins if you were them and you could
I
sign
mean, you're
him,
gonna have to pay him the same amount of money.
right? So you're
And I
saying
mean, if I don't know.
so you're thinking about loading up on talent more so than just a big time quarterback,
I mean, I feel like somewhere down the line. I mean, even this year's. I mean, they could get them one.
right?
They got a couple in the draft this year that they could get if they wanted to.
Oh, the okay, you're talking about like Rosen, and you're talking about like Darnold and Baker Mayfield and all those guys. Who do you like out of that class? I like Rosen, man. He's a pocket passer. Darnold tries to scramble a little bit and change the throwing point, and like if you try to scramble in the NFL, you get teed off on. Unless you're Russell Wilson, don't try to scramble. I want a pocket passer. I want Brady, even Garoppolo, like those type of players. Rosen's that type of guy. He's just gonna shotgun, set his feet, play solid football, and I don't know how the Browns don't take him. Kaiser. There's some upside there, but what do you have? Like 11 touchdowns and like 22 picks or something like that.
Yeah, the good did not outweigh the bad.
Yeah, it was a rough year. But then again, I didn't Peyton Manning throw more. Remember when we looked up Terry Bradshaw's stats?
Yeah, nobody plays too good first time around. I guess. I
Yeah,
mean, it's kind of hard to nowadays.
right.
Though.
Except for Dak Prescott,
You got linebackers that have the same athletic ability as a receiver, and some of them the same speed.
Right. Yeah.
So there's it's just a lot different nowadays. It's kind of hard to
Yeah, the
it's
speed.
kind of hard to throw a young guy out there right away because it's a speed that nobody's ever seen before. I mean
Yeah.
it's way different now than it was then.
Right. It's a whole different game with medicine and like players used to tear their ACL, they were done. You can come
And
back, training, and like protein and like
and you got to have a strong arm nowadays too because of what I just
yeah,
pointed out because you got to put it in some tight spaces because everybody's moving, everybody's got wheels, everybody on the field can move,
Right,
down to your big guys on the line.
right,
Everybody can move. It's not like those guys on the line are just fat pigs now.
right. Yeah,
No, those guys are athletes.
absolutely. And it's all about the pocket passer with a big arm. You got to have that big arm and be able to launch it downfield.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like in nowadays game at the same time, you need to have that big arm, but you still need to be able to move a little.
Right, yeah, right.
And that's kind of something we're seeing here, like develop a little with our hometown quarterback and
Matthew
Matthew
Stafford.
Stafford.
We're from Detroit, so we're big Lions fans. I know we say that every episode, but it feels good to say that.
Truth.
So Stafford, he was the highest paid player. Garoppolo actually surpasses him. Let's talk about the running backs. I wrote that article recently about the Dolphins. If you were sitting in the Dolphins, I think they're in the 11th draft spot. Man, I would drop back 10 spots in the draft, try to pick up another pick, like a third or a fourth pick, and then draft Sony Michel out of Georgia. This guy did like 1,200 yards, did like 16 touchdowns as a senior, and he shared the ball with Nick Chubb. Chuck, you actually have an interesting perspective on this. I know you're a little bit against the grain on this one, and I actually like when sports analysts take risks because that shows that you're just not a status quo follower. You actually have your own brain. You can think for yourself. So I want you to give us your take on the Georgia running back situation.
I mean, I'm more of a Nick Chubb fan. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say fan. It's just he fits the style that I feel that the Lions need in this time because of
Right.
the offensive line issues.
What
He's more
about
of a power guy, but I'm not against Sony Michel at all.
right? What do
Like he's
what
an
if what about for every team in the league? Like if you're not just the Lions, what about every team in the league? You still like Nick Chubb because he's your style of play?
he's just my style. I
Yeah.
mean, he's more of a grinder. I mean, he's still an athlete. He's still got
He
good
did
feet.
he did big numbers too. That's crazy. Both those
Just
running backs did huge numbers.
he's just more of like that. He's got more of that Todd Gurley in him than Sony Michel does, in my opinion.
Right,
He's just that more of a built style back,
right.
and I just feel like those guys right now are showing more of a longevity in the league, and they're more explosive with the big speedy backs now. It seems to be the the new thing with the running backs. So I'm hoping that he kind of falls in our lap, but
Lions.
I don't see
Yeah,
that
yeah,
happening because
Lions.
they have other needs. I think they want to draft one later on, but I think they need to take a risk because that is the big back is the way of the future, in my opinion.
Okay. Yep. Other topics. What else we got tonight? What do we say we're gonna go to? Josh McDaniels is on the ticker. What do you think about the Josh McDaniels situation?
I think he's an absolute dirtbag,
Dirtbag, damn.
and that's just being kind because trying to.
It seems like the Josh McDaniels
I
bandwagon
mean,
is
first off, let me make it clear that there was never a bandwagon for me with
right.
Josh
No,
McDaniels
no.
because he was an absolute failure in Denver because of his ego issues.
I'm saying the bandwagon of Josh McDaniels is down and out right now.
Oh
Nobody's
yeah,
on that.
everybody in Indy pretty much. I mean, I'm pretty sure they want his head on a fork, a pitchfork.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
they hired assistant coaches. I guess they're gonna stay now, but that really complicates things.
I mean, like all the good coaches are gone because you waited. Like
Yeah.
you waited because this guy basically committed to you,
Yeah, yeah.
and then he just kind of
backed out. And
backs out at the last second. His own agent says bye to him because of the situation.
Yeah, yeah. What was his agent's name? His name was like Bob LaMontagne or something. His agent fired him actually over that. Said his word is everything, and he parted ways with Josh McDaniels because he wasn't happy with him backing out. He thought it was an unprofessional move, and he said to Josh McDaniels it was the worst professional move he'll ever make in his career. So
I hope nobody offers him a head coaching job ever again because that was the most. Right. I mean, I wouldn't say ignorant because obviously there's a reason why he didn't do it, but I mean to wait that long and for the Patriots as an organization to know what's going on, to wait that long and pull something like that. I mean, I don't know, man. Something's going on over there. That
Well, remember, the Colts were the Deflategate team. They reported the Patriots for Deflategate. So those two organizations have a lot of bad blood between them. We're told Bob Kraft actually had a meeting with Josh McDaniels, upped his pay, so he's getting paid as much as he would had he went to Indianapolis, and that was big for Bob Kraft because not only does it show the respect he has, but he also kept McDaniels from going to the team that caused him a lot of grief with the whole Deflategate scandal, which obviously everybody who followed football knows that played out for 2 years. 2 years.
but it worked out in their favor. They still came back and won the Super
They
Bowl.
won, but man, how bad was that for football and annoying? And then we had
Oh,
to
it
go
was.
through it again with Ezekiel Elliott. He's suspended. He's unsuspended. He's suspended. He's unsuspended. It was just bad for the game. No one wants to hear about that stuff.
See, Zeke messed up though. He should have just let it go and been done with it. And
Right.
kept fighting, stopped fighting,
Right,
and just let
but-
it go. You
but-
know they're gonna tag you. I mean, that's
Right.
just what they do.
But if you felt you were truly innocent, you know, he was fighting for his
I
name.
mean,
you
I
know?
understand, but he
Right.
just prolonged it. He knows that they're gonna do what they got to do,
Right, absolutely.
and no matter what, they're always right. So
Yeah.
you got to remember.
So that really killed the Cowboys season, man. You know,
It
you
definitely
know.
deflated them.
What they had
'Cause they were
nine wins without him. They were a playoff team with him, definitely.
They were just inconsistent without him
Yeah.
because it all went on Dak, and he wasn't ready for that. I don't think.
Right, man.
I mean, he's good, but I mean, he's good with his with his partner in crime, and that's
Right.
Zeke.
yeah, man.
They just mesh well, and you don't find that too often.
I see them bouncing back with Zeke back on the field next year.
Although they
you
just
know?
they need some more firepower. That's all
Right.
all their firepower is getting old.
I saw a thing that Dez might get cut on Twitter, man. I really hope that don't happen. You know?
They can't do that.
I wouldn't do it. That would be dirty, man. But I seen that. That's funny you say that because you see this stuff on Twitter, and you have a good eye where you can just keep it real. You can't cut a local Dallas.
I mean,
legend,
he's a superstar still. I mean,
Right.
he's still contributing. He just needs a little help now because he's a little older. He can't do it by himself no
Right.
more.
right.
He's been doing it by himself forever.
I guess he's just a Dallas legend, being a Cowboy that
Yeah.
long. But continue on. Let's talk about the Malcolm Butler situation. Malcolm Butler doesn't play in the Super Bowl at all. Sitting on the sidelines. It only gets special teams time. After the Patriots lose the Super Bowl, the guy they put on the field, Eric Rowe, he gets toasted. They could have used Malcolm Butler. What do you think about that, Chuck? No.
That's
Right.
just a hard one for me because, I mean, all their excuses they came out with have so far backfired.
Right. None of them were good enough.
Yeah, I mean, when your quarterback's sticking up for you,
Right.
that starts to obviously tell everybody that
Right. If you,
the coaching staff or the head coach had some sort of a ego breakdown,
that's what it kind of feels like.
and it
Do-
cost
do
him.
you
It
think
cost
he's
him in the long
covering?
run.
Do you think Butler did something kind of bad and maybe he's covering for him, or
It's a possibility. I mean, I feel like he's the type of guy that would do that to cover one of his team's ass.
right? And now he's taking the fall for it big time.
Yeah, but
Like-
I mean, in reality, does that really hurt him? He's still the greatest coach to ever do it.
Right. But Brady coming out and supporting Malcolm Butler on Instagram and saying,
It's just
I love you. He said, I love you, Malcolm. You're a great friend, teammate. And he was just saying that,
there's just a lot of heat in that locker room, especially between Brady and Belichick. Now I feel like
Well, I guess Belichick banned Brady's trainer from the sideline. And that was that's Brady's business partner. So that was pretty a big source of the friction. And I guess just over time, those two guys, they're two huge egos that have been there forever. They're just butting heads a little bit. And
it's probably just finally starting to clash. It
It's-
happens.
it happens.
It always happens.
Yeah, tension always happens. But it's getting to the point, Chuck, where it's just starting to become toxic.
Yeah, which I mean, they've had a long run.
They've had a long run.
5 Super Bowls.
And think about bands, rock bands. They can never stay together. There's too
No.
much ego. It always eventually breaks down.
Always come and go.
the fact that they've been able to hold it together for that long is already an accomplishment.
Oh, it's impressive. And
It's
I'm not even a Patriots fan, but
what
it's very impressive.
what 5 Super Bowls together? They
Yep.
just lost. They went to their eighth. That was their eighth, and they lost it.
5 out of 8 is pretty damn impressive.
Still pretty damn good. Probably the biggest dynasty we've ever seen
And
in pro
probably will ever
football,
see.
maybe ever see. But here's the thing, and I know you disagree with this, so I think it's good because we can argue both points. I'm really starting to believe that Tom Brady is really the reason they won all those Super Bowls. Now I know you disagree. You think Belichick's the reason. Tell me why you think Belichick is the reason they won all these Super Bowls.
Well, first off, they kind of just blew me away when Brady gets suspended. He brings in these backups that not really much playing time at all. First Garoppolo, then Jacoby Brissett, and they both just, I wouldn't say played flawless, but they played good enough to win.
That's a great point, actually.
And when usually you don't just have backups come in there and do what they do, but when they're managed properly and the
Right.
game plan is set to them and to make it very,
Right.
easy and
The
or not-
system.
yeah, the system is easy
yeah.
and basic, and they
Yeah.
simplify everything and
Right.
just make it flow
Yeah.
for that person instead of just like, oh well, we run these same plays. We don't have Tom Brady in there no more.
Right.
So it's time to
What
make
about
some
Matt,
changes.
Matt Castle too?
Yeah, and they got Matt Castle paid.
Yeah.
I just hope the same thing don't happen with Garoppolo.
But
that
let me
happened with
counter.
Castle.
Let me counter though. Brady, I think, is that extra gear because would Castle, would Garoppolo, would Brissett get it done in the postseason? Brady,
I don't know. Would they?
I don't think they would.
I don't know. I mean, everybody said that about Nick Foles too, and now looking.
Right.
But he was a starter.
He was a
at
Pro
one point
Bowler.
in
He's a
time,
Pro
and
Bowler. Pro Bowler.
But,
Nick
I mean-
just kind of got screwed by the business. He got,
Yeah.
People just kept looking past him because they wanted the
But-
fancy pick. Like who was in front of him out.
But no, I don't think these guys are going to come up clutch like Brady does.
No.
But once again, it comes down to play calling and game planning. And I'm not saying he don't do his homework because I know he does.
Right.
I know he spends his time after hours doing his thing, but that's what you get paid for is to be good at what you do. So,
Right.
But he's the best at what he does.
Who are you talking about? Belichick?
No, I'm talking about
Brady. Yeah.
Belichick is too. They're both. That's why they're clashing. Is because they're both
Great. Yeah.
at the top
of their
and the
game.
best at what they do. And
Brady goes
those egos got to be through the roof, but they've managed to make it happen for such a long time
right.
and keep it kind of stress free.
What about Brady's 505 yards in the Super Bowl, man? He left it all out there.
I mean, it was impressive that both defenses decided not to play
Right.
until the end of the game.
Right. Let's talk about Foles. Speaking of Nick Foles, he was behind Jared Goff and who was the other guy? Oh, Case Keenum. Case Keenum in Los Angeles. And remember Jeff Fisher on Hard Knocks fired Nick Foles. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Nick Foles goes to Kansas City, hooks back up with Andy Reid, who coached him in Philadelphia when he was a Pro Bowler. Said Andy Reid kind of helped him with the love of the game again. And then, Doug Peterson was from Andy Reid's coaching tree, went to Philadelphia. Actually, Doug Peterson went and scouted Nick Foles out of college. So they had that rapport together. Nick Foles goes to the Eagles. They got Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has a big year, probably an MVP. Probably would have won the MVP had he not got hurt. And then Nick Foles comes in. He's decent. He's good. And then he just keeps getting better every game. Becomes great. Has a great run. What's next for Nick Foles, Chuck?
I think he should just stay where he's at.
You want him to stay home?
Stay where he's at. You never know what can happen.
But
Why not? I mean, yeah, you can go get paid, but I don't think he's here to get paid.
I think he's under
his-
contract for one more year. But you don't think some team out there is going to want to trade for him? The Bills, the Cardinals, some of these teams.
I mean, I sure as hell hope not, because I don't want to see him have to go through that crap again. Leave him where he's at.
But if
He
they
don't-
trade for him and make him the lead guy,
Yeah, I'm gonna be the lead guy of a terrible team.
Right,
You know,
but you're the lead guy,
what
and you
what the hell's the fun in that?
right. I hear you, but
I mean,
from the Eagles,
you've already been through the struggles. Why you want to do it again? It's not about the money no more.
right.
He
But
already made his money,
from the Eagles' perspective, he has trade value off that run.
but they don't need anybody. Everybody is coming back. Everybody's under contract still for the most part.
Right.
They're not losing any key
I mean,
piece.
Peterson said some guys aren't going to be able to come back. Obviously, with every team that happens from year to year, you
Yeah.
just can't bring everybody back. But, um, I mean, if some team will give you a second now, opposed to you let him sit on the bench for a year, and then his stock, I guess you can say, cools down, and now you only get a fourth or a fifth. Why wouldn't you?
I mean, you're not going to trade him at that point in time because his contract's up anyways at the end of next year.
Right. But I'm saying, like if you could get that second this offseason when it's hot, strike when the iron's hot, send him to Buffalo, send him to Arizona. I mean, I'm not even. I mean, is Tannehill going to pan out in Miami?
No,
No.
we all knew that from day one. The only people that didn't know that were the Dolphins for some reason.
Right. I guess Adam Gaze is really big on um, bringing Tannehill back and having him be the lead guy. Who knows? You know,
Yeah, that's just called PR. This, that,
PR move.
Yeah.
So even then, Foles, if to me those teams where you have questionable guys, well, Buffalo, actually Arizona the worst. Who's Arizona's guy? They need somebody. They don't have anybody. Carson Palmer retired. I mean, they got to draft Rosen, Baker Mayfield, Darnold, somebody, or they got to get Nick Foles. I mean,
Who
so,
they go get?
huh? What about Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah, he's free agent as well. So,
Go get Tyrod Taylor and Buffalo doesn't want Tyrod. They're ready to just get rid of him. So you can get a bargain if you're the Cardinals. You go get Tyrod Taylor for like a fourth or a fifth round. That will sure up the position, give you something, and it's low. And it's a low risk move, giving up a later pick like that. But let's start to wrap it up. We've had a good session. You got anything you want to chip in or add before we leave, bro?
nope.
You're about good. This is endzoneblog.com's Across the Middle podcast. My co-host Chuck Cobb signing off. I'm John Kuzma. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. It was a great Super Bowl. I can't wait till the new season starts up next year. I guess we'll have to settle for the off-season draft and the free agency period. Go Lions, definitely.
Go Lions.
How much? I think we had like 50 million in cap room. You better spend, Bob Quinn. Spend it all.
Oh, he's gonna spend some money
Spend
this
it all.
offseason.
Get everybody. Get the most heavy hitters. Get Carlos Hyde. Get Julius Peppers. Go get them all. Get Sammy Watt. Now, do we need Sammy Watkins?
No.
Jarvis Landry or Allen Robinson? Do we need a receiver? I don't care. Just spend all that money and get some good players. Get someone in the trenches next to Ashawn Robinson that can eat. Um, Spend it all, Bob Quinn. Spend it all. Let's go get a Super Bowl and let's party 10 times harder than Philly did. Even though I will say this, Jason Kelsey, did you hear his speech? Oh man, Kelsey's speech. If you got a chance, go listen to Jason Kelsey's speech. That's all we got. Check out endzoneblog.com. Thank you for tuning in.